What's up, everyone? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be doing the Minnesota Timberwolves 2020-2021 NBA season preview and prediction. Without further ado, let's get into it. Their 2019-20 recap. They started out the season pretty hot. I remember Wiggins was actually being really efficient in the first 10 games of the season or so. He was averaging 27 or 26 and 5, and he was running the point guard a lot, so he was more involved, and it just looked like their new coach might have figured out the Wiggins-Cat duo, but then things came back to earth. Wiggins started playing to his normal standards, and midway through the season, they decided to move on from him. They traded him to the Golden State Warriors for D'Angelo Russell, who they tried to sign in that offseason because Cat and him are really good friends. And then they also traded for Malik Beasley from the Denver Nuggets. And it was a 4-team trade that involved trading. They also got Jared Vanderbilt, and I don't think they got rid of too much. I think they lost Hernan Gomez or something like that. But yeah, it wasn't too much. They might have gotten him from Denver, but it was a big trade. And then they also were able to win the lottery and get the number 1 overall pick, which we'll get into that, who they use that on. But first, let's look at the trades they made this season. They traded for Ed Davis and Ricky Rubio. We're going to talk about Ricky for a bit. I believe what they're trying to do with this is similar to what the Suns did with Ricky Rubio the season before. Just him come in and be a veteran leader and just a calming presence in the locker room and on the court, both. Because this team, I think the talent is undeniable so far. They just have Cat, who could easily be a top 10 player in this league. D'Angelo Russell, who's shown signs to be a top 20, top 25, 30 player in this league. Really good point guard, good shooter. Malik Beasley, who showed a lot of signs closing last season. And then the number 1 overall pick, we'll talk about it, but Anthony Edwards. So I think they were hoping Ricky Rubio can kind of rein in all that talent, and we'll see. So far, it hasn't really worked out. He's been okay for them, not great, and this team isn't really winning games, but I think I get what they're trying to do with it. I just don't know if it's going to work out, just because the formation of this team's a little different. They have a lot of guys who want the ball in their hands, so it's kind of tough to have Ricky Rubio, who's a ball handler most of the time and runs the offense. For the Phoenix Suns, it worked because they needed someone who could get the ball to Ayton, in the post, because they didn't have that last year, and then get the ball out of Booker's hands so he could play off ball. And the Timberwolves, I don't really see that because D'Angelo's going to want the ball. Malik Beasley even plays on ball a lot. Anthony Edwards playing on ball, and Cat is definitely he can play off ball really well, but he also likes playing on ball. So there's just a lot more ball handlers on this team than with the Suns. Draft picks, as we talked about, Anthony Edwards was picked number 1 overall, and so far he's been able to put the ball in the basket okay. He's averaging 15 points. The efficiency isn't very good, but he is taking a lot of threes, 8 a game, I think. It's a lot of threes, and he's only making 20 to 30% of them, I think, low 30s. And then, his field goal percentage isn't great either. His free throw percentage is good. I think he's at 100% right now. He's been shooting really well from the free throw line. And I think he still shows the same potential he had. I don't think there's anything to worry about inefficiency. For him, he's just super athletic and can shoot really well. My thing is, and I know this is a weird thing to say, but if you hear him talk, it's obvious he's not in love with basketball. He says he loves other sport, or he could play any sport as long as he's getting paid to do so, which is 100% fine, and that's a fine mentality to have. It's just, I wonder when things are rough, when things don't go well, is he really going to put in that extra effort to get better at basketball? That's the only thing. Just being a number 1 pick, I just wonder if he could reach his fullest potential, because I think body and potential-wise, he could be as good as anyone in the league. He's 6'8", or not 6'8", 6'7", 6'6", super athletic, can dribble, actually pretty good handle, fluid shot that could definitely get better, can rise up over anyone, really good in the open court, really good defensively, makes plays on that end defensively, obviously makes plays offensively. He's just could be a game-changing type of player, and I just want to see if he could unlock that. So moving on, they also drafted Leandro Barmelo and Jaden McDaniel, and then other players on this roster. They have Jarrett Culver, who was their number 1 overall pick the season before, number 6 overall, and he's pretty disappointing, and I'm kind of scared. I don't know how long he's going to last in the NBA. He just hasn't been able to figure out the game at this level at all. Like, he's still only shooting, I think, 38% from the field and 12. I think last time I checked, he was shooting 12% from three. It's not good. He's not really scoring well. He's only averaging 7 points a game on 25 minutes. Not assisting well. He only has 2 assists and I think 2 turnovers. And he was kind of like coming out of the draft, people thought he could be a ball handler for you. And I mean, I'm not ready to give up just because he is kind of young, but he's not super young. Like, he was a little older than most coming out. I think he's like 20 or 21 coming out. So he hasn't shown any signs yet. The only thing is he's rebounding pretty well. He's averaging 6.5 rebounds in 25 minutes, so that's good. But if that's all he's going to do for you, he's not worth keeping him on the roster. So he needs to start playing well to show he's worth sticking in the league, pretty much. Another player, Jake Layman, who's just like a pretty, honestly, shitty 3-and-D guy. He doesn't shoot well from three. He's kind of hot and cold. He's only shooting like 28% right now. He's mostly just like a scorer, and he can kind of defend, just like a good rotation, not even good, like average rotation piece. Jared Vanderbilt, another power forward on this team. He was in that trade I was talking about with D'Angelo Russell. He actually shows some signs of like crafty finishing around the rim, and whenever he's given opportunity, he's been really good. He's just not a shooter, which is tough. He can't spread the floor, and he's not really a 5. He really is like a true 4. So it's kind of tough since he can't shoot. Like, there's just not many 4s now who can't shoot 3s, but he doesn't even attempt them. So yeah, that's the only downside, but it's really good scoring around the rim, pretty good defender, and pretty good rebounder for them. Josh Okogie, he is like a small forward shooting guard type player, pretty athletic. He showed a good bit of signs, plays a lot of minutes for them. The percentages aren't good right now. He's only shooting like 28% from three, but I always kind of give players a little bit of time since the year's starting out to get their percentages right, because he was shooting like league average last year. And yeah, I think he'll be a decent role-playing shooting guard or small forward. Just come off the bench or start and hit open threes. Or I don't know if he's not a great three-point shooter, but he can make wide open threes, and then athletic in transition, good finisher, pretty good defender. I think that's where he could be like most impactful, if he could become a really good on-ball defender, because he does have all the physical tools to do that. Someone else. So Malik Beasley on this team, who's been playing really well this new 2020-2021 season. He's averaging, I think, 18 points a game. His three-point percentage isn't great right now, but he's shooting like 45% from the field, and he's attempting a lot of free throws a game. He's been their best player, and D'Angelo Russell has played every game, so it's kind of surprising. They signed him, or they extended him 4 years, 80, I believe, and that was even after like some controversy that he got into a fight with his girlfriend or family. I think it was his family, and a gun was pulled. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, he's been lights out this year, and if he could do that, he's worth the money he's getting. He's only making, I think, high teens. And if he could be a near 20-point per game scorer, his three-point percentage should go back up. He's been a pretty good shooter throughout his career, so I think that'll figure itself out. The only thing is, if you really want him to like play next to Cat when he eventually comes back, D'Angelo, I guess you're hoping he becomes a star again, or becomes a star. And then Anthony Edwards, who you want to be a star. It's going to be tough, just because I'm sure he's gonna be in the same boat he was in Denver, where he was upset about his playing time. Like, he thinks he's more of a 1-2 guy, and he doesn't really get that respect a lot of the time. So we'll see if he's okay accepting his role once this team is fully realized and healthy. Another player, D'Angelo Russell, as I was just talking about, he's been really disappointing this year. Like I said earlier, talk about Malik Beasley, I said if he can turn into a star again, that's because he hasn't been playing anywhere close to all-star level this season. He's only averaging like 14 points a game, 4 assists, not shooting the ball incredibly well, just kind of hitting some threes and not scoring in the paint at all. Like, he's never been a good finisher on the rim. He's always had trouble like getting fouled and just manufacturing offense. He's a pure like shooter, so a lot of his points just come off like screens and just hitting threes and difficult shot making. So guys like that, it's tough to be consistent just because you have to be consistently making tough shots, and he's not doing that so far this year. I give him time because obviously he's talented and he's had a 20 point per game season 2 years in a row. And even last year he was averaging like 26 a game for a stretch for the Warriors. So I'm still holding out hope for him. Obviously, I think he's still a talented player. I just need to see him come back to his all-star caliber level pretty soon for him to be worth the max contract they're paying him, and how bad he is on defense. Like, if he's not scoring the ball, there's little that he's worth being out there. So then the star of this team, Karl Anthony Towns, he ended up fracturing his wrist randomly in a game. It was pretty like crazy, or not crazy. It was what's the word I'm looking for? Like shock injury, not shock, like just like a random injury that you don't really like. It's not something that like was like something caused that before. Like it just randomly happened, and I'm sure he'll be fine once he gets back. Like I'm not concerned of him getting injured throughout this season and staying injured. It was like a freak injury. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, he's lights out. Really good scorer, just on all three levels. One of the weirdest players in the league. He's able to curl around screens and just be like a JJ Redick type offensive player. Not to that extent, obviously, but he is really good at catch and shoot threes and playing off ball and running around and catching. He's just a really good 3-point shooter. And like one of the most fluid 3-point shooter at his size in the league. Yeah, I don't know who else. Maybe KD. Yeah, Kevin Durant. Yeah, that'd be the only one. His jump shot is really nice, and he's also really good at scoring at the rim. He can take defenders off the dribble. Pretty good in open court. Pretty good at like passing out of a double or passing out of the post. Just like offensively, he's definitely a number one. Like he can 100% be the best player, or at least the number one offensive option on championship team, and he's also 6'11", so that is for sure. He's on the offensive end. I don't have any questions. Defensively, there's a good bit of questions. I would like him to just be better overall. It's maybe an effort thing. Maybe he just doesn't understand defensive concepts that well yet, or ever will, but he's just finds himself out of position a lot. He blocks shots like a bit, but he's one of those who, like, the block shots don't actually translate to good defense. He's caught, like I said, he's caught out of position a lot, gets beat by guards a lot. He's even not great in like post defense against other bigs, so he just needs to improve on defense, and that's like regular with this team. Looking at this team, they're pretty, like, I think the talent is there. Like, they do have Beasley, Russell, Cat, Edwards, and you have Ricky Rubio too. You have, I will say there is a steep drop off. There's a lot of talent on this team, but it's tough to like get it all to work the way it's supposed to when you don't have any really supporting cast or winning foundation to go off of. Like, they're still trying to figure themselves out as a young team, but then they don't have any sort of foundation. Like, they don't have, like, I have Cat, but Cat's like, I don't like, Cat's just one of those players. Like, I feel like he's not your he's your number one option, but he's not your leader, and he's not like someone you can really like look to as a leader for a team and to lead a team throughout a season. I guess that's why they got Ricky to be that, but I just don't know if it's going to work out like that. I don't see this team making the playoffs. I don't see them really making the play-in. I think the West is so talented that even though this team is talented, just the fit and like chemistry is going to be off, and they're just not going to play to their full potential, and I just don't see them making the play-in tournament. So I have a pretty low opinion on them. Let me know what you think, if you think they'll be better or worse, and comment, subscribe below, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.